and welcome to the Toolkit for Traders YouTube channel, where we give you the tools for trading success. And in today's video, our 11th in the MQL5 Programming Tutorial Series, we are looking at making classes to make our life a lot easier when constructing our EAs. We're going to spend a lot of time in MetaEditor, not so much time on the slides today because we covered a lot of the theory back in the last lesson. We'll be looking at using classes and objects, something we've discussed before, to make opening and closing our trades with our expert advisor a lot easier. So if you like this video, do hit the like button and the subscribe button. Not only does it encourage me, but it also helps other people to find the channel, which is really nice because I don't make any real money from this. I get a little bit from YouTube, but I don't advertise this anywhere. I'm not making any money, but one of the ways, so I've not got any money to put into marketing or anything like that. But one of the ways that you can help spread the word and spread the good stuff, if you think these videos are good, is by liking and subscribing, and in particular putting a comment down, because YouTube really likes engagement in videos. So if you put a comment down, that really helps people, and the algorithm it helps the algorithm to suggest this video to other people so that they can find it and use it as well. So I would really appreciate that. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's get on with the lesson. So quote for this lesson: your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. This is by Zig Ziglar. So this is about our approach to trading. We're looking here at making a robust system for creating EAs. We're not trying to do quick and dirty fixes. We're having the right attitude here, which is have a robust system that we can use again and again and again. So just a very short amount of theory before we head into MetaEditor for this lesson. So we're looking at a trader class. So we're going to create a class called trader, and that's going to open and close the trades for us, and we're going to build on that. So the class is going to be called CTrader, not to be confused with CTrader if you know the other platform. But CTrader in this sense is going to be our class, C for class, and then trader is going to be the name of it. We're then going to create two child classes from our parent CTrader class. We're going to have a CTrader netting class and a CTrader hedging class. So both of those child classes will inherit the functions we put into the parent, and then we can add bespoke functions and variables to the hedging and the netting classes respectively, so that it works with whichever mode of account type that your MetaTrader has. So without any further ado, let's go to MetaEditor and start to work. Okay, so we're back in our MetaEditor now, where we were in lesson 9, because that's where we last were dealing with our expert advisor that we've been building. So we're not actually going to work straight away on the expert advisor in here, because if we start adding our trade classes into this file, it may become actually quite difficult to deal with, because it's going to have a lot of code and it's going to make this whole file really big and really hard to read. So if you followed on previous lessons, we used the include here, where we included the spread checker as an example. So we're going to use that format again for our trade class. And the other benefit of this is whenever we want to make a different EA in future, we don't have to copy and paste from this EA into a new one every time. We can just include the file that we're about to create. So we're going to go to File, New. We'll go down to Include, which is a .mqh file. We'll say OK. And we're going to call this one our Trader Class Include file. You can call it what you want, just as long as you use the correct name when you're building it. When you get this, you get your initial template provided by MQL5 by the editor, and we can just delete all of that. We don't need any of those in the comments. We'll leave the properties at the top, and we can start to work on our our system. So as we said in the previous in the slides, we're going to make a parent class called CTrader. So we make a class by using the keyword class. We give it a name. So we'll call, in this case, we'll call it CTrader. So class trader. We open up the brackets, and then just as a note, normally when you do functions or if and else blocks with curly brackets, you don't need a semicolon here. But if you don't do that after a class, you will get an issue, which I'll might show in a moment. So anywho, we'll get back to creating this class. So we're going to have some protected. So we're going to use protected rather than private encapsulation because we want the following to be inherited by the child classes that are going to derive from it. So if you remember before, all our trading, we need a request, a trade request object and a trade result object. Now, the request object we're going to keep to ourselves within the class because we don't need to see, and nobody else outside of the class needs to see what's in there. But people outside the class, or functions outside the class, I should say, may need to know what the result is. So we're going to make the result public. We also need some information to be able to put in here. So if you remember the MQL trade request, it needs a lot of information, which is listed out here. Some things which are the same depend. Some things. So let's break this down a moment. The magic number, the deviation, and the fill type. These will be the same for as long as the expert advisor is alive. So we can put these in at the start of the expert advisor's life and leave them there. Things like the order type, as in buy or sell. The price will depend on whether we're doing a buy or sell. So that will need to work it out from the type of order we open. And then finally, there will be some things in here like the volume or the stop loss and take profit that will need to be entered every time we open an order. So we need to handle those three different kinds of information for our trade request and differently. So what we'll do then is we'll store within the class the magic number. So when we create the trader object, we can set that number. We'll also have deviation set as well. And we'll also set the filling type, enum type order type filling. So we've not put a value in these yet. We've just created the variables names, and then we need functions to be able to fill these in. So we say void set magic number. We'll create these as functions that we can use at the start, which will all make sense. So in fact, we're not going to define the function just here. We'll just need to tell the compiler that we're going to have these functions. So set deviation, p deviation, and we also need to set filling type, p filling. So what that means is we've now told the, we need to say what type of variable these will be, excuse me, otherwise that won't work. and this is enum order type filling. Okay, so now we've got these functions, and I think, to be honest, I think we could put these as protected variables because we've got the access functions. So let's go with that. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. So we've got ways to set it. We'll compile, check for any errors. We've got any errors so far. Great. So now we've got our parent class. It's got the trade request and result variables, which will be common to the classes in both. They both need those request and result. They also both need magic numbers, deviation, and filling type. So we put those in the parent class, and we've created some functions in order to set those when we create the expert advisor. So now we need to define these three functions here, which are going to be very, very simple. So we can say CTrader, that's the name of our class. We put in the 2 colons to say this is a method of that class, and we're going to do set magic number, and very simply we're going to say that our magic number within the class is equal to the parameter that we set. And we'll do the same again, or this time we'll do our deviation. And it might look a bit like we're being rather silly here, and this isn't making a lot of sense, but hopefully, why isn't that coming in? There we go, p deviation. You'll see how these are used when we go to implement these classes within the within our expert advisor. So we're just setting these now, because having the set functions means we can set them without the variables themselves being public, and that just gives us a little extra layer of protection. So we've now got, and let's have a look here. I'm just going to copy something from my notes. Just want to put a comment in here, say CTrader parent class. Just want to break this up here a wee bit, so we keep a nice bit of structure. And then I'm also going to go down here. So now we're going to make our netting class for our expert advisor, and this will derive from the parent class we've just made. So we won't need all of this we've already written. That'll be common and inherited, which is nice. So we're going to create a class again, and this time we're going to call it CTrader netting. It's going to derive from, so a single colon, public, and CTrader. So that means this class will be a child of the CTrader class, which is what we want. Again, we need to say what's going to be in this object. So we're going to say we're going to have a protected function, which is going to be accessible only within the class itself, and that is to open position. So this open position function will be able to open a position in either direction, and we will use excuse me, that's a copy from my notes. So we need the order type, sorry, which will be p type. So this should be fairly familiar from the last lesson, having to put all the information in order to open a position. So we put in our stop loss, which is price. We put in our take profit. So like I say, this will be able to work in both directions, but we'll have then some public functions which will use this function, and it will save us some effort, which we'll see. I'm just going to set some defaults. So I'll set the default comment to null. I'll set the default take profit to 0. I'll set the default stop loss to 0. And I think that will do for that. So that's going to be our open position function. So let's go define that function first before we do anything else. So we've got, we'll compile, just make sure we're no errors. Lovely. So now we can go below our class declaration here. We can say bool C trader netting, and it's going to have an open position function, and it will pre-fill in from the last one, which is useful. Save me to write it all out, what the parameters for that are going to be. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to do our classic zero memory, if you remember that from the last lesson, just to clear those objects. So we haven't made these objects within the child class. As you might know, these are within the parent. So the child has inherited these and has its own request and results. So we don't need to declare it here because it's already been declared up here, which is nice. So we're just going to clear the memory. And then we're going to set the basic requirements for our trade. So first we look at our request, and there we go, request.action. We're going to set that to trade action deal. And remember, you can look at the documentation for what all of these different things mean, but we're just going to set these in. So we have parameters to fill in as well. Sorry, type request.type is equal to p type request dot stop loss is equal to p stop loss. Request dot take profit is equal to p take profit, and request comment equal to p comment. So we've set the input parameters there. It's saying, I've compiled it, it says not all return a path because we've not finished the function just yet. So with a netting position, if we're going to open a buy, we need to know, first of all, do we have a net sell position open? Because if we have a buy position, we want to open a buy position of one lot and we have a sell position of one lot open, we need to actually open a buy position of two lots. The first lot to counteract the sell position already opened, and the second lot to put us in a net one lot buy position, which is why it's called netting. So we need to know, first of all, do we have any open volume? So we'll create a variable that we'll set to 0 initially, and we're going to find out what our variable volume is that's open, if we have any, and we're going to put that value in there. We're also going to find out the type of position that is. I'm going to set this as wrong value, which is a predetermined constant, which basically means it's like a null, it's a no value, and it means we can check it if we don't happen to have set that. So we'll set those basically as blank, and we're going to get the information on the current position. So if position select, so this is going to select a position, if there is one, on the current symbol, on the symbol that is our parameter. So position select returns a Boolean, you see here. So if there is no position open on this symbol already, it's going to return false. If there is a position open on this symbol already, it's going to return true. If it does return true and there is a position open, we want to know what the volume is so we can set our variables we've just created. So we can say position get double, and we'll go for position volume. So we use that function to get the open volume. And we also need to know the type, because if we're trying to open a buy position and we already have a buy position open, then we don't need to worry about cancelling it out. We're just adding to our current position. So we're going to find out the position type, which is an integer. So this is if we're a buy or sell. So now we have these, we can work out the required netted volume of our new position. So we're going to work out required netted volume. So if our, let's say, if our P type is equal to order type buy, so this is if the type of order that we want to open with our function is a buy, and if the open position type, the kind of position we have already are open, if the open position type is sell, so the open position, if we're trying to open a buy and we've already got a sell open, then we need to add the request volume, or the request volume needs to be the volume that we're trying to open plus the open volume that we already have open. So it's the new volume plus closing the original volume. So that's going to set that. If that is not the case, then we can just say, if for instance we have, we're trying to open a buy and we also already have a buy open, then we can say actually we're just trying to add to our current position. So the new volume to open or to add is just going to be the request volume. We don't need to close any positions. However, we do need to take account for this is if you have the scenario of a buy, trying to open a buy with a sell already on. We also need to have a scenario which is if we want to open a sell and we've already got a buy on. So we can put this expression here in brackets, and then we can say or with the two lines here, and we're going to have another we're going to have another expression in here. So this one is going to be if P type is equal to order type sell and open position type is equal to position underscore type buy, then we want to do the same. So basically we've got both scenarios in here. We've got trying to open a buy with a sell already open, or we're trying to open a sell with a buy already open. Now I've put in brackets here, this is one expression. This will only evaluate as true if both sides of this AND operator are true. This expression here will only be true if both sides of this AND operator here are true. So this can be read in a quite complicated way, but bear with. And then this full expression from that closed brackets to the final brackets there, that is centered by this or. So if this is true or this is true, then this code block here will get executed. If this is false and this is false, then this one will get executed. So it's a bit of a complicated one. You might need to watch that again if you didn't quite follow that. But basically what this is doing is saying if there's a buy already, if I want to open a buy and there's a sell already open, I need to add my volume to close the original, and vice versa for sells and buys. So we've now done that, which is really the key thing for opening within a netted netting system. Right, so we've got our volume. Good. Now we need to work out the kind of price that we need. So we need to know if P type is order type by, then our request.price is going to be equal. We need to set that to symbol info double, and it's going to be on our current symbol, and it's going to be our symbol ask price because we're buying. Else, if now you probably could just do else, but we'll do this to be safe here because there are other types. We're just going to be explicit. So P type equals order type sell. Then our request.price again is going to equal symbol info double P symbol, and it's going to be our bid price. So now we've set the price, and we've set the volume for there. So we're working our way through this request object's values that we need to set. We've now set everything we do need to set, and we can do the final thing, which is to return. And then we're going to return the result of the order send function, which we have our request and our result that we can put in. So we've set, if you remember here, for our request object has various different inputs that we need to set. So we've set the ones that we knew beforehand from our parameters, which is good. We then worked out the volume here, and we then worked out the price, and then we're able to send that. The order send will then fill in the result object with the information from the broker. So the last things we're going to do now on the netting class is we need to create to buy and sell, because actually we made this, if you look, this open position was a protected, so we actually need a way to access that from outside of it. So we're going to create a public function, and we're going to say public, let me just go up my notes. So we're going to say we're going to return a bool, we're going to have a buy. So we're going to have a buy function, and we're going to have a sell function, and we're going to have a close function. So we'll need to say the symbol, we need to say the volume, we need to say the stop loss, we need to say the take profit, and we also need to say the comment last of all. We need to set some default values for these end ones in case we don't set them. And we can also copy this and have a sell function, which is exactly the same. We need to take profit, declare that type. There we go. That take profit will be a double. So that's silly, forgot to put the type. And we also need string here. and string here. And there we go. So we've got our buy sell, and we also need our close function. We're going to have a bool. In fact, we'll copy this, and we'll just get rid of the stuff that we don't need. So we'll have close, and for close, we need the symbol, we need the volume. We don't need the stop loss and take profit because we're closing. We just need a comment. So we've got those three functions. We now need to create them. So the buy one, it's very simple. We're going to have a C trader netting. We're going to have a buy. So you can see here, it pre-fills in all the stuff from our declaration. And all it's going to do is going to return the result of the open position function. So we're accessing from within the class. Open position. And we're going to put in some information. So obviously we've got P symbol, we've got order type buy. So we're filling in the parameters for our open position. So we've got the type of order, we need the volume, and then the stop loss. So volume as our parameter. We're going to use our stop loss, our take profit, and our comment as our inputs for that. So all that we've really done is we've just extracted one level above the open position, and we've put in this open type buy. We've pre-filled it in, and that's just going to mean we won't have to do the typing of order type buy when we're writing our expert advisor. We're going to copy that there, and all we need to do for the sell is change that to sell, change that to sell, and then we have our sell one as well. A semicolon expected. Oh, what have I done here? Whoops. That should be it. Let's have a look. There we go. Right. And the very last one, which will be our close function. So just to recap before we do close. So we've created an open position function, which is working out all the complicated stuff for us in an order to open a position. Then we've extracted or extrapolated a very simple buy and sell function for us to use publicly, so that we don't have to type in order type buy, order type sell every time. So all we've done is we've just extrapolated that one level and refilled that in. So when we go to Expert Advisor, we just type, let's say, it will just be trader dot, let's say, buy. And we put in our functions rather than having to say order type buy, etc., etc. It will make our life easier, and that's why we've done that. So now we can go to our close function. And this is a little bit more complicated. It's a bit like the open position function, because we also need to work out the volume. So again, we create the function as we have done before, link it to the class. We've now got our close, which we've already declared, and we can start to fill this out. Now, closing a position is the same as opening, in that we have to send a request and send a result. So we're going to clear the request and result variables to make sure there's nothing left in them. And we can then fill in the stuff that we know we need to fill in. So request.action, we're going to say trade action deal. Request.symbol is going to be this symbol, which is our input parameter. And the request.comment going to be p-comment. We need to do the same thing again where we work out the volume. in fact, what we can do is we can copy this here and put it there. So again, we've got our open volume. What is our open volume? We set these to 0. What is the type of our current position? If we have a position open, we set our volume, we set our type as buy or sell. So then we just need to write this function again. So work out required volume to close. So if the P volume, so if the volume we want to close is greater than or equal to the volume we currently have open, then the volume to close request.volume is equal to the open volume. Basically what that's doing is if the volume that we've said we want to close, say we've got one lot open and we say close 2 lots, if we allowed that through, then we'd end up with a net negative position of 1 lot, because that's how netting works. So what we have to do is we have to limit the closing volume to the open volume we currently have. That way we never try and close any more than our current position. Otherwise, like I say, we would net the opposite direction and we'd be going in the opposite direction, which is not what we want from this function. So we need to do that. We also want to have a scenario where if the volume is set to 0 and we don't set the volume, then we will assume that the user of the EA would like, or sets it to a negative number, was like the whole volume being closed. So that way we can have our volume with a default of 0, and we'll put that in our P volume here. So we can set it as our default to 0. So if we don't set a volume at all, if we were just say close the position on this symbol, it will set the default to 0. Then this function here, I've not written this right. If P volume is less than or equal to 0, it will say, well, this side is true, so we're going to set the volume to be the full open volume. So that's a quick shorthand that we're able to create so we can make closing positions on our EAs a lot quicker. Okay, let's carry on then. So if the volume we're trying to close, say we're trying to close a partial position, then the P volume is smaller than the open volume. So we just say that our request volume is equal to the volume we want to close. So this way we can close a partial position if we want, as long as we don't try and close a partial that's equal to or greater than the open volume, in which case it's going to cap the volume to the current maximum. And that's what that little bit of code does there. We then need to do the old classic work out what our price is, but we also need to work out, because we're saying close, we're not saying close buy or close sell, we're just saying close. So we need to know if our open position is a buy, then our order to close that needs to be a sell. So we need to find out the type of order needed to close the position. So we're going to go if our open position type, which we've set further on, is equal to position type, so position underscore type buy. If it's so we've got a buy position open, which means that in order to close that buy position, we need a sell position. So we can say our order type, order type is going to be a sell. We can then at the same time set the price of our close to be the bid price because we're selling. So we use the symbol info double, which we should be familiar with by now, and the symbol bid price. So we need to do it on the opposite direction. So if our open position type is equal to position type sell, then our closing request needs to be order type buy. So to close our sell, we need to open a buy position, and our request.price, if I can spell right, is equal to symbol info double again, and we want the current symbol, or the symbol for our parameter, and the ask price. So now we've filled in everything we need to fill in of the request object. We can now return the result of the order send function, and we're going to put in here our request and our result, and that is that. So we've got rid of that. So now we have a full netted class that derives from our trader parent class. We have an open position function which can only be accessed from within the class itself, and the reason we've done that is because we've created 3 public functions to give us different kind of actions. So we can now do a buy, we can do a sell, and we can do a close. Those 3 functions, all they do is use the open position function, but with some pre-filled information, because when we say buy, when we say sell, we know some of the information already about what we're trying to do. The same with close. The close one is very similar to the open position function, with the exception that we are not setting take profits and stop losses, and we are capping the volume to close to the max to our open position volume if we have a position currently open. And that's our netted class. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a pause there for this one, and we're going to return in the next episode for the second half of this lesson for the hedging class of this function. And what we'll also do in the next lesson is we'll look at using this include file within our expert advisor that we've been developing. Okay, so we're taking a pause from MetaEditor now. I did say we're going to spend a lot of time in the editor today, but there's no other way around it with creating some of this stuff sometimes. The good news is that once we've created this, we won't have to do this every time. You'll be able to reuse these classes that we've been using here again and again and again. It's going to make your life in the long run a whole lot easier. If you're having trouble with this, remember that all of the information will be on the Discord channel and the website, where you can get a copy of the include files that have been completed, and you'll be able to cross-reference those against the ones that you've been making. And I do hope you make them yourself rather than just copy and paste, because you won't learn that way. You need to be building these yourself and being frustrated by the process to really truly learn. So in the next lesson, we're going to create our hedging version of the CTrader class, and we're going to be updating our EA to use those classes from the include file in our expert advisor. So if you do have any questions, as I always say, drop it in the comment section below. That's where I'm most active. You can ask in the Discord forum, or you can reach out to me direct on Instagram, X, or TikTok. All the best, and I'll see you in the next lesson.